Today I wanted to do part 2 of Think, Feel, Live Better, which is a series I'm doing to try to kind of create therapeutic techniques that are really accessible online. A reminder is we're digging into some stuff here, so if you feel like you're getting entrenched in some kind of trauma, you want to make sure you reach out and get somebody to talk to. Another disclaimer is that I have a large shepherd laying on the floor in my studio office right now. So those noises are not coming from me, if you hear them. Okay, so part 1 was about neuroplasticity and about how we have neural pathways that can grow and grow in inertia. You're really sleepy, buddy. And inertia in accessibility. The more we think them. Our brain does not discriminate between healthy things to do and less healthy things to do. It just practices whatever we tell it to. So this might be, I am not enough. And maybe we've been thinking that in some manner our whole lives. How long is it going to take to shift a habit that is very old and kind of ingrained in our thinking? It's going to take a little while. So it's all about the practice, the repetition of this next step in order to get yourself to move forward to a place where this new habit of thinking, it could be a habit of behavior too, just as a side note, can really take hold. And so the more we do it, which we're going to talk about, how do we do it? The more we do it, the larger this will become and the more accessible this thought will become, and this guy will shrink. All right, and be less accessible. It's interesting because you can go back to your old thought patterns no matter how old you are, probably. So it's still there. It's just not going to be your go-to. All right, so that was last time. We talked about neuroplasticity. This time we want to talk about what the next step is as far as being able to grab onto whatever the habit is you're trying to grow and do it in a repetitive way. Get the reps in. This is not something that sounds like me. I'm a very militant person. That sounds like mental health boot camp, but I've started saying that because people will say it's not working yet. And I'll say, well, how many reps have you done? Like 2. Okay. And you did that previous thing for decades. So you probably are going to have to do it more regularly. We don't want it to become unpleasant, but it does need to be integrated in a pretty regular way. You can place external reminders for yourself that you want to practice this new thing. There's lots of ways you can do it. So let's talk about ways to integrate the new idea. Again, this could be used for most any sort of medium to lower level triggers that are going on for you, where you're having reactions, behaviors, emotions that are not your favorite thing. So we want to talk about integrating modalities. So when you were a little kid, depending on when you grew up, you may have heard you learn better visually, or you learn better in an auditory way, or you're a hands-on learner. Maybe you're kind of well-rounded and you do all those things. And none of it's right or wrong. It's just about how we're all very dynamic and different. So what we're going to do is try to use some modalities to integrate into our brain with this new practices. The more of these different modalities we can use, art, talking to ourselves, the actual tactile effort of making the art, where you're holding the pencil, my eyes are seeing myself make the art, I'm talking out loud to myself and to you about what the messaging is that I'm trying to relay to myself. Okay, so it's beneficial to examine what the imagery would look like for the old thought. So if we said, I am not enough, this is not the work we're doing, right? We're just really kind of fleshing out the idea for our brain. And that way we can approach the solution that we're looking for, approach the antidote that we're looking for. So I am not enough. So I don't know. Let's see. Here I am. I'm small. And maybe I'm looking down. And maybe I'm sad. Let's get some color in there, because color is another way to integrate that you're paying attention and you're keying into these things. Let's use some, oh, these are my Prismacolor. I've got a little sketch pencil in there too. But these are my Prismacolor colored pencils. They're tremendous. This is really old, but I did get it from Dick Blick a million years ago, which is nice about the longevity of them. You can tell some of them are a little bit shorter. A couple of them are laying over there. So these are great. They have nice color intensity. If you go to my website, I'm an affiliate with Dick Blick, and you can click on a link probably to get yourself some kind of hookup to get these cool pencils. So here we are. I'm not enough. You know what? We're going to not, my go-to is red, but this is not real. When I think back about this feeling, and folks, these things are vaguely me when I'm talking about them, but they're not really about me, right? It's just sort of like working with clients for many years and things I hear. When I think back about this message that I'm not enough, I might feel kind of gray. I might ask myself, if that had a texture, that feeling of not being enough, what would the texture be? Maybe it's not comfortable, right? Maybe there's some harsh lines there. Maybe it feels a little scribbly. Yeah, maybe it's something like that. Maybe I didn't feel like I was enough, and so I used to drag my feet around. So I'm not asking you to draw a heart with a sad face on it. What I'm asking you to do is to think about the messaging that you came up with for yourself. So let's say you have a relationship with food that doesn't feel healthy. We're going to draw a picture. This is the hard part, so you're going to get through this. I'm going to make sure in this video that we move beyond this to a place of future focused thinking. So let's say you had a relationship with food that was uncomfortable, and so you wanted to draw some sort of imagery about how that felt, that relationship with food. Let's say you have an addiction to shopping and all your money's always gone. So you want to draw some kind of symbolism. It doesn't even have to be forms. It could just be abstract that represents how that negative thing feels. So we're looking at this. We could go way into art therapy land, and we could think to ourselves, how does this feel in my body when I'm thinking about this? Where does it land? Is it in a certain place? How am I breathing when I'm thinking about this, or when I'm in this state? How is my shepherd breathing, laying next to me? I don't know if you guys can hear that. So you can try to embody it. You can do sort of a reflective question, like, if this little guy could talk to me, what would he say? Yeah, maybe he'd say, I'm not enough. Maybe he'd have some other things to say, right? So we're going to just explore it a little bit. This is the negative part. We're using these different modalities. We're thinking about it. We're writing about it. We're drawing about it. We're talking to ourselves about it. We could do an interpretive dance and try to embody with moves what this feels like. It's the less fun part, but it is important in order to kind of get its number. We want to understand it. We want to say, thank you. You were trying to keep me safe all these years, this thought, or you were trying to help me out in some way. You're a defense mechanism, but you're not serving me well anymore. So we're not hating on it. We're just saying you're not serving me well anymore. Messaging comes from our formative years usually. I'll probably make a video about our formative years so I can better understand, or better explain to you how to understand why these things get so heavy and how that's not your fault. Childhood is a time to over-internalize when you're a human being. Okay, so this second part is we're going to take this. Can you see that? Yeah, we're going to take this little guy, and we're going to help him out. This little guy. We're going to flip the script, right? We're going to do the opposite emotion, essentially. That's usually what it looks like. It feels a little delusional to say, just do the opposite. So we're backing it in context, in our history, and what that means for us in a dynamic way. Oh, he's breathing. So we are gonna think about the idea I am enough. We're using modalities. So we're making this symbolism for ourselves. In case I forget to say it, when you're done with this, take a picture of it, put it on your phone, email it to yourself, text it to yourself, print it out and stick it next to a desk somewhere if it's not a confidentiality issue. Put this places. Help yourself remember. Don't beat yourself up if you don't remember. Okay, so we have I am enough. Maybe when I think about the fact that I'm enough, it's just a radiant heart for me, to be honest. I don't even need to put a face on it. I just feel this kind of glowing solidarity with myself. And so this feels brightly colored for me. There are no wrong answers here, when it's about you and how you feel relating to your stuff. So please try to think about what it looks like. And what I do is I intentionally keep things as generic and widely applicable as I can. So it's a heart. And the statement is something that lots of people probably manage. You might have a very specific thing. All right. Ooh, I love these colored pencils. Are very nice. Create a lot of pop of color, and they're really smooth, which is nice. Okay, so we're going to color this in. Feels like just red is not dynamic enough. So I'm going to get some other colors in there and try to really give myself an image that makes me feel self-compassion, self-love. It's radiating out beyond the lines, right? It's not kept inside this encased shape. You can do the same thing with this, and I would highly encourage it. More questions, more interaction, more integration. So abstract questions are going to help your brain to grab onto the idea. Anytime you can create something that has novelty in it, you've never asked yourself that before. Your brain goes, huh, ding. Goes, ding. What is that? What are we talking about? When I say to myself, what sound? Bye, buddy. What sound does this make? I must be waking him up. What sound is the sound of my heart feeling whole and healthy and enough? Maybe it's like, oh, right? Or who knows? Maybe there's something that you have that makes a sound that you could associate with it. I'm hanging out in the sound thing because we're integrating. So maybe you have a bell or something. This is my bell. Maybe I associate it with this sound. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe I try to hold my body in a way where I can feel my stance is powerful. You've seen these like Wonder Woman poses or whatever it is. That could be a thing. That definitely helps if we're taking deep breaths and we're feeling strong. So I'm creating imagery that's going to reinforce it. Ask yourself a question. If this image could talk to you, what would it say? Beyond this, right? What does it smell like? Wacky question, but people answer that for me all the time, and it really helps to integrate the information. So all of these different questions, and you can make up your own, are really helpful to flesh out your understanding of what this new reaction is going to be. And then you got to have the reps. So what does that mean? You've got this image. You're trying to embody it and have it be your reaction. It's just a concept right now. When you go to have this other thing happen, don't go to have it happen, but when you go and have this feeling again, it's okay. Don't beat yourself up. It's something that you've been doing for a long time. It's going to take a little while to switch, right? So we go to this feeling, and maybe a little bit after this has happened, we start to realize, oh, I forgot Switch to this. And what does that mean? It means sit in it. Think about it. Take a deep breath and look at it. Say it to yourself. I am enough. Do that cheesy bit. Look in the mirror. Say it to yourself. It's real. Your brain is not special, and I mean that in the kindest way. Your brain is just like the rest of our brains. It learns through neuroplasticity. It's not just like the rest of our brains. We're all dynamic in beautiful ways and different. But you get to have the same tools that we all have. We have this ability to relearn ideas, to change our thoughts, to change our reactions, to change our behaviors. It takes a long, long time to go from this to this. And it's never really going to go away, but your relationship with it changes so it doesn't pop out so much. It becomes fewer and far between. Then one day you have something happen and it flares up, right? We want you here. So you're thinking to yourself, my body feels like this. My breath is like this when I'm thinking this way. Could be my mind feels like this. We're creating a setting for you to tune into, a frequency. And we want to do it enough that by the time the next thing happens, it's a little easier to get from here to here. But it's abrupt. You can see the difference. That contrast is abrupt. It's really hard to make a bridge. The only way to make a bridge is to keep practicing. That's why therapists say trust the process. But if you don't practice it, it's not going to happen. So you have to take care of yourself and decide what you want and then practice what you want. It's real. It can happen. You can change your thoughts. You can change your life. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed.